to do a little something, but it was difficult, man. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I struggled and struggled and struggled. I gave up on one, and I just started another one probably 2 hours ago, and it sounded way better than the first one I did for 4 or 5 hours.
Oh
But
wow.
I sent you both of them.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check them out.
One of them says slow okay beat. That's the last one. Don't do that one yet. The other one is the one I did. You know, took me 4 hours to do, and I gave up on it.
Okay, gotcha.
But like I said, I just struggle with the whole coming up with something original type thing. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is, but
okay. Did you? Now, what about I remember talking about the music lessons and stuff like that. How was that? Were you able to mess with that at all, or?
No, I hadn't had time to do that. But I got my keyboard set up right here. Got me a stand and everything. So, you know, baby steps, a little bit at a time. So.
Okay. Cool, man. Yeah. Yeah. Don't be afraid to. What's up, India? See, India's in the chat and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm just trying to promote. See if we can get some more people to come into the group and stuff like that as I continue to try to do this. I see both of these. Which one do you want me to check out first?
The one that don't say slower. It says one of them says slower, okay beat or something like that. That's the one that's the decent one. The other one you need to look at first because I think it says trap 101 or something like that.
Yeah, trap 101.
Yeah, that I'm kind of embarrassed to even let you hear it, but
well, that's how you got to be able to review it so that we can learn and grow.
Yeah.
So don't be scared. We all learning here. We're all students, and even myself, I'm still learning. I'm still growing too.
Yeah. It's just so random through together. It's just, man,
right. Yeah. Well, you're still growing. I mean, you're still learning. So don't beat yourself up. Even sometimes I feel like I don't know what I'm doing, where I'm at.
Right. Yeah.
And that's just part of it. So I'm making a folder now. We'll pull it up, man. We'll dive right in, man. Otherwise, you had a good week so far?
Yeah, everything going pretty good. I mean, I don't know. I understand this cold weather, man. I really don't.
Yeah. This cold weather is off the chain, man. I thought we were done with it. First day of spring. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, we done.
Right.
And, man, we got hit up, man. I was out there in the field today, like, what is this, man? So.
Yeah, I bought some apple trees. I can't put them in the ground because it's so cold. So
Oh man, okay. How long does that work for? Like the apple trees, do you have to the certain time of year you're supposed to plant it, and then?
Yeah, I mean, especially if they new, you don't want to plant them when there's no chance of any cold, to hit. So
okay,
you want decently warm weather for at least a couple of weeks. Get the ground. No, they normally say like 65 degrees and above in the ground. Not on top of the ground, in the ground, but
okay. And that time frame for that so I guess you plant it and it's supposed to grow to a certain extent by the fall, or you have to wait a few years.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I got 3 of them. It's probably 9 feet tall already. So
okay,
I'd say in 2 years it'll be bearing some fruit. It might not be big enough to hold it, but fruit come out on it.
Yeah. Oh wow, okay, I never knew about that stuff, man. That's good info. That's some good info. All right, yeah. So we'll dive right in, man. India, I hope you've been having a good weekend so far and stuff like that. You can chime in the chat anytime you want to, and I appreciate y'all for participating in T2K Select. Let's dive in. Let's get in here. Let's see if we can sharpen our skills a little bit. So I got Trap 101 here. And any information you want me to know about it before we check it out?
Just like I said, I didn't have any direction and no kind of direction on going, and just sit down and start with. I guess that's what made me struggle so much.
Okay.
So.
Gotcha. Well, I already see. We'll switch screens over and we'll look at it. What I already see so far is I see you got some automation on there. That looks really good. And I see you got some sections there. So we'll just play it through, and we'll just listen to it real quick. And we'll go over it after we check it out. Let's check it out. Cool. So I hear some changes in there, and you got some different things going on with the rhythm and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, it's pretty much straightforward, man. I liked how you did some good track organization with the colors.
Right.
I see that, and that kind of helps keep things organized. And even on the main pattern window here, I see you got some things colored there. Oh, I didn't even know you used a citrus for the snare sound. That's cool.
Yeah, like I said, I've been, dibbling around in all the different sounds, and citrus is for me, because a lot of it's demos on, on the version I got.
Yeah.
But it's got, enough sounds to do something with. So.
Okay. Yeah, man, just use that. I guess Citrus is a full-fledged version of Citrus in FL Studio, which is good.
Yeah.
Like that. I need to probably when I'm done working on this album, I'm about to start doing like a lot of tutorials, and it's like I'm gonna be doing covers and performances on the channel, and then I'm gonna be doing tutorials and diving in to a lot of plugins and stuff like that to kind of get the tutorials back flowing. You know how it is trying to focus on too many things, you don't get nothing done. So I had to stop one thing to get to another.
Right.
So, but yeah, man, that's pretty cool right there, man. Are there any challenges you're dealing with in the creation of this beat, or maybe some questions, or maybe some things to help you in your journey with this one?
Well, I mean, for me, I still haven't got that. Okay, this is a trap beat. When you do a trap beat, this is 4, 5, 6. This is what you do.
Right.
And the slow beat, R&B, this is what you do. So 5, 6 over here,
Yeah.
And even that, I was trying to go as a slower. I ain't gonna say no, not slower, but I was trying to do a trap beat.
Okay.
And it just took off, all directions for me, and I couldn't hold it back. So.
Gotcha. Okay.
But this next one, like I said, I just went on YouTube, looked around a couple videos and everything. I guess, and I've had this beat in my head. I hummed it out on my phone that I heard it.
Okay.
Like last week, and I've been trying to get that beat together. It's just a bass guitar beat.
Yeah.
It was just a couple of notes. But I couldn't get that on that first one. But for some reason, when I went on YouTube, looked around and everything, and I came back and it just flowed out my head, and I was able to do it on that second one, just within an hour or two.
Yeah.
But that other one took me 4 or 5 hours to mess around. I've been messing around it all day, and I just basically gave up on it. But
right. Well, it's okay to go through that process, and even tracks I give up on if they don't sound right. That's a process, and I'm the same way. If I got a song in my head and I'm at work or something,
right,
I'll sing it in my phone, and my voice would be cracking because I'll be trying to sing under my breath so I don't disturb anybody. So my voice is all cracking and all this stuff.
Right, yeah.
I'll make a little drum sound in my mouth so that I can, because I know what I hear in my head, but I know if I don't record it, I'll forget it, right?
Right.
And by the time you get home being forgotten, you probably heard a bunch of different songs on the radio, and boom, the idea is gone, So yeah.
That one song had this nice beat that I liked, so that's what made me go ahead and record it on my phone.
Yeah,
so I wouldn't forget it once I got home. So
yeah. So no doubt. So let's check that out, man, and we'll go back into the creation of the music and try to figure out how to stick where you want to go, because I think that's
because on this other one, I put a little old school in it too, but you'll see. You just go ahead and play it. I kind of like this one.
Okay, gotcha.
And I'm very hard on myself.
No doubt. I'm the same way. Don't beat yourself up. I have to remind myself that every day, man. Here we go. Let's check this out. Hey, you got. Uh-oh, hold on now. Okay, I hear a lot of growth, man.
Yeah, but that one just flowed out. That other one, man, like I was beating my head on side the wall.
Yeah, yeah. You know, from where I started hearing your tracks from to this point, you know, there's growth, man. And you know, I think that is definitely, you should congratulate yourself for that and not beat yourself up, man, because I definitely hear growth, because I see you using different sounds
Right.
outside of FL Studio, whereas you weren't just attached to the Citrus, but you the Citrus plugin, but you're using samples, and like I didn't even know that FL Studio had a guitar sound like that. I didn't even know it had that. You know, so you teaching me something here, man. And you know, and I think that's good. You know, what stuck out to me most that I liked about this beat was the bass line. Like that bass line is like gangster. I mean, you could put that on anything.
That's the bass line that I heard on that one song, and that's the one I recorded on my phone, but I couldn't get it out of my head earlier this morning.
Right.
And I finally got it out by, you know, end of the day. So
yeah. And I think you're doing good work, because like I said, a lot of people will turn to VST plugins. A lot of people will turn to, and like I said, and that does make things, quote, sound better. But I think that when you're still learning how to take the ideas in your head, you shouldn't worry about so much about how it sounds versus are you getting the ideas that are in your head onto the platform first, you know,
right,
stuff like that. So, you know, that's why I give you props for that. And then I noticed here where you got this electric guitar, you got two different melody lines for the guitar part. And what I like about this and the growth I see here is that you got two different melodies going on. So you're not just depending on the same melody for each time, you know? And even over here, I see you break it up and switch it up here too, which is that's growth there in that, because it's very easy to just take this guitar part and just keep painting it over and over again and think you're done. You know what I'm saying? And this is from starting from ground zero. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
right.
Like you haven't been doing tracks, like you just got into it. Like how long you been doing messing with FL Studio?
Maybe 2 months.
It's like 2 months, you know what I'm saying? And you weren't playing instruments before the time. You weren't playing on, you know, you weren't playing in church or gigging or anything like that. You know, you just had a will to want to learn to create, man. So I give you props for that. You know, and you're doing different sounds, which I think is really cool too, man. I mean, I see the triangle there and the cowbell. Normally I'll use a cowbell in one pitch. And I heard that cowbell. Let me see if I can trigger it. Yeah. And I see that you use that. If I can find the pattern. Yeah, I see the pattern right here. VTCB. Yeah. And in that pattern, I see that you pitch it up. You know, and even in there, like if I were to offer a suggestion, because I'm hearing the scale of the note, and that's something you still can learn. That's why that piano program is going to help you understand your scales good. Because like I see this melody here, I would change this note here to, I would do this. And we hear it unchanged. So, you know, those are some little things I would do, because that follows the scale, which is very important and stuff like that. But see, I wouldn't even thought about pitching my cowbell and stuff like that, you know, but you got to fully ring in. And then I also see right here, let's look at this. Like I see you got this on the master here. Now, okay. So tell me about your is there a reason why you added a fruity limiter on your master? Is there something you were going for?
Not really. Not on this one. It looked like it put it there automatically for some odd reason. I didn't put that one on there, but on the first one, I tried to put one on, you know, that first beat I sent you.
Okay.
But here it put it on there, you know, by itself. I think I didn't remember putting it on there.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. The fruity compressor, I hear that you got that on there. And yeah, so I was just wondering stuff like that.
Yeah.
So this song, this beat right here is pretty much something you had in your head all day. You put it down, and what are some things you felt like you might have missed in putting this beat together that you might have felt like you might need help in doing?
Well, let's see. Well, I mean, that one flowed pretty good. I know on the track that I know it sounds off, but I left it that way just because it didn't sound like, a computer made it. I can't think of the one that's got the on number 9 on row 9 in the middle part of row 9.
In the song,
right there. Yeah, you see where the blue and the red top.
Yeah,
that right there. I did that. Not by hand, but I clicked it in. But it sounds off, and I know it's off, but I left it that way on purpose.
Okay.
But if I wanted to straighten it out, I didn't. My little limit of knowledge on key scales and that type thing.
Okay.
But other than that, I just felt like I was handcuffed on just finding different sounds to, different instruments to, do different things. Because, pianos and guitars, to me, that's an easy thing. But when you want to put a different kick drum in it to make it, in a different pattern of that kick drum to go with it, that's what I struggle at too. That would have been the biggest thing.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, let's we'll start off with this pattern, and I'll see if I can tweak it to kind of show you what my suggestions are for that.
Right.
And we'll go back into the sound selection and determine the sounds and how that works out, and then I'll try to make something from scratch in the musical direction. We'll review some of the elements to help make certain sounds or certain beats sound like the way that they are. That sound like a good plan?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, great. So let's start off with this pattern right here. I got it queued up. Okay, now here's where the purists will come in and say, well, that's not on the scale and stuff. Like, remember how I told you there's always an exception to every rule, and
right.
I remember that, so that way it frees your mind to go creatively in what direction you want. And so see, this is more of a percussion sound. We do hear a little bit of a pitch, but because it's so metallic, it's kind of hard for the listener or even yourself or even for myself to say, okay, which pitch I'm going to have on this, because if we listen to this metallic sound, there's an attack sound in it. There's kind of a main little pitch in it, and then there's kind of like an overtone. And one thing to learn about dealing with sound design is that anything metallic, like a bell, like if you heard a church bell, like in a movie, if you really listen to it, you might hear the sound by itself and say, okay, that's a bell. But if you listen to it more closer, you can hear that the bell has these different overtones and harmonics that are going on in it. And it is these overtones and harmonics that helps you recognize it's a bell. Same way the overtones and harmonics are present in this sample right here, which enables me to translate in my brain, this is a piece of metal that I'm hearing and stuff like that. So a lot of times, if the piece of metal isn't really pitched or it doesn't have a really strong dominant tone to create the pitch, then what happens is that it makes it kind of hard to know what pitch it's on. So I can play it from this section, and let me see if I can even try to move it somewhere. Let's see right here. So right there, I could kind of hear where you're going with it. Now that I know where the scale is, I know that. So I might move them over. So it's kind of off there, and it's not quite on this line of timing here, because I know that this is a beat right here. Every dark line that you see represents a click that's on beat at all times. It's a main beat. And if you're moving sounds off of it, there's two directions you can go from there. You can say, all right, I want some off beat for a feel, or and that's typically what happens. But most of the time we'll put it on beat. The second thing, I'm trying to think of the second thing. It just slipped my mind. But I knew that sometimes in music production we move things off beat to create a feel that reduces the chance of it sounding like a computer did it. Like if a group of people clap their hands, everybody's not perfectly at the same time, which our minds recognize as humans clapping their hands, you know, and it gives it that more natural feel. So in this scenario where I hear this dun dun dun, I might go dun 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 dun. So I got dun 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 dun. And that's more on beat, but like, or more on pitch. But I'll try and get a reference for you. I'll bring up a oscillator, a 3X oscillator, so you can hear what I'm doing. And so that way you can kind of hear it. So I took the same melody that we generated right there, and now put it in a synthesizer, which generates more pure notes without a lot of harmonics, so we can hear what pitch is going on. So I'll go back to this pattern, and I'll move that 3X oscillator. And remember, we can change the pitch of any synthesizer, anything we do by moving the scale here without changing the pattern. So that in this area right here, we can just move this here. And right there, I know I'm a little bit off, so I might do a and then I'll go up here and I'll move that thing right the same place. But you see where we can kind of hear what the melody's doing in that metallic part right there?
Right. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So that's where it comes in as far as my suggestion for that section right there, which I know can help, because without that, and like I said, it all goes back to understanding the musical scales, because without the musical scales, we can't really build songs off of there. We can go by ear. And for me, you know, I can't, it wouldn't help you for me to say, oh yeah, just play it in a C scale if you don't know what a C scale is, you know?
Right.
But what you have to develop is the ear to hear major scales and minor scales. So I'll give you an example and stuff like that. And like I said, this takes practice, so you may not get it this time, but if you keep listening to music, you kind of hear a difference. So if I were to play this series of notes, right, I'm hearing a major scale, and a lot of people will get real technical and say, okay, well, it's a major scale because of these intervals and stuff like that. The way I listen to it, I don't really listen for specific thirds and half thirds and stuff like that. Yes, all that is true, but what I'm paying attention to is how it sounds. Like, for example, I'm going to play in the same key, and I want you to tell me if you can hear the difference between the two. So here's the first time, and I'm gonna play it differently the second time. Okay, so that's the first one. Now I'm gonna play it differently. Now, did you hear a difference between the two?
Yes, big difference.
Right, big difference. So what you just heard me, and I didn't even play a perfect minor scale. Probably a purist would come on and say, "Oh, you played." But see, those are the subtle differences that you can hear, right? So if you can recognize that, you already have a big part of the whole thing laid out before you, because a lot of people can't tell the difference between and, you know, stuff like that. Or if I do, you know, so there are differences there, and that, what that does is that it helps you recognize if sounds and things are important. That's why it's important to use that musical scale or that piano teaching app on your laptop. And what I may try and do is I need to prepare maybe some musical theory for us to go over, you know what I'm saying, and stuff like that, so that we can talk about that stuff, you know, because like I say, it's you and India here. I can focus on you guys, more on that stuff like that. So that way we can kind of break it down, because I think a better understanding of that, once you understand what those sounds are, you can pull from that and do things like that. So
yeah, because sometimes even, you know, just going through the sounds, the black keys sound better to me, you know, just doing one or two little, you know, not playing the whole chord or anything, but just one or two, three little notes.
yeah,
it sounds better to me just with the black keys. I don't know what's that about, but
yeah, I could break that down. I'll give you a little backstory. When I first started playing piano, the black keys were the go-to keys, and because they made a pretty sound. You can't make a wrong note with those. With these white keys, it's very easy, you know. But here I'm a kid, like I remember this specifically growing up, that you can play them together, and what you're hearing is a scale called pentatonic scale, okay? And typically what happens in the pentatonic scale, you hear this sound. And I'll check myself later if I'm wrong. But that's because there's the intervals between them are set up in a way for them to sound more pleasing to the ear without you having to do much guesswork and stuff like that, you know?
Right.
In fact, I would even give you a homework assignment to say make a beat only using the key, the notes on the black keys, you know. Right, and it's a lot less to go around. There's like only like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's only 5 notes before it repeats again, going back again, you know. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can go, and you know, you can, and like I said, I grew a lot from just playing on black keys before I learned that there's more, because I can just press. That's why I like that, and I think that's why that's like my favorite key, because it's very easy to play the black keys. And you know, so my suggestion to you is to try that, just to expand your horizons in a little bit and stuff like that. So like I'll give you an example. We'll go to the go-to plugin right now. We'll do Citrus, and then I'll find a like I'll just build something, you know, and which kind of goes into making a trap beat and stuff like that. Did you want to kind of go over how to do a trap beat again or something like that?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So, well, you know, first things first, step 1, let's go to 120. You know, I think that's a good thing right there. Step 2, I got an arpeggiator set up off of that Citrus plugin, so that's not quite the sound I want because it's doing this. So I need to find another sound that works for me. I was trying to find an arpeggiator to do it, but we don't have to do that. So I'll do this harpo maybe. Okay, that's a pretty good sound. So I'm going to use just the black keys. As you can see, the black keys here are the same ones on your piano, right? And it may be easier to create a track just the black keys. So I can do, and I'll just use the black keys only, and I'll stay within that. Now I just clicked a bunch of random notes that are on the black keys. We see that the black keys are darker highlighted in the pattern or in the piano roll here, all the way down. So that helps us know where we're at easily right there. So now when I hit play, so we got a melody out of nothing, because we're just playing the black keys, you know. They're all in the same scale. I usually will start as this is my root note, and my root note according to Free Loops is D sharp. I like to call it E flat, and we'll get into that at another lesson talking about the names of the notes. But see, I learned how to play by hearing the notes before I learned what the names were, you know. And you learned a lot about music sounds by the music you listen to. You didn't learn about the technical stuff, and you still have an understanding of music. You still were able to tell the difference between a major scale and a minor scale. And so what I want you to get, and like I said, and when you were playing just the black keys, you were hearing a different scale. You were hearing a pentatonic scale. Let me see if I can spell it right. pentatonic. And I could be wrong, but just roll with me on that spelling. But let's add a bass line. Remember, we were talking about finding bass sounds. So I'll drop a 808, and so I'll go to the Fruitless default sounds, because I know you have those, and we'll talk more about finding sound. So here we have an 808 sound. Okay, now the 808 sound, if I were to bring it up, if I were to go up an octave, I hear that note is not quite right. Because I want this note here to match the same note as this right here. So I want that bass note to do that same note. And it's not doing that. So what we gotta do, we gotta go to the sample editor or the sampler editor. We'll click on the little tool here, the little envelope tool, and we'll change the pitch till we get it just right. And so let's see, I got these both pulled up. Not quite there. And not quite. It's a little too high. I don't think it's perfectly in pitch. Let's see. Yeah, so yeah. So we'll try that. So what's happening here is that I'm trying to get this sound to match that same pitch. And I'll just put some notes in there, and I'll just make it go like. Now we hear that bass line in the same pitch of the synthesizer. You follow where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
So and all we're doing is staying on the black keys, which is, to me, is a great way to build that sound. Right. So now we're going into the direction of we're trying to make a trap beat. So we'll do a kind of a pretty much a simple trap beat, and we're going to use the sounds that come with FL Studio. So now I'm going to get a 808 closed hat, right? And I'll right click in that section, and I'll say fill every 2 steps, and let's see what we get. Or we can go every 4 steps. You have these rules, but notice how I'm using 808 kick sounds, and I'm using more of a 808 based drum sound library. You follow? Which is most of the time what trap music is based off of. Now, producers will change and introduce different sounds, but I think from where you're coming from, to really stick with that sound, you use 808 drum sounds. Now, 808 represents a drum machine called the TR-808, which came out back in like 83 or 82 or something like that.
Right.
And so what's happening here is a lot of the urban music that's like our home. Like we use that, like that's our sound. We took it, we kept it, and we rolled with it, And again, now I'm grabbing a percussion sound. Now I'm grabbing an 808 clap. And I see that FL Studio doesn't have an 808 clap, but they have a 909 clap, which is basically kind of just like an 808 clap. So I'll bring that in there. And then what I like to do is I'll turn down the envelope just to make it just to tighten up the sound a little bit and get rid of that decay. Notice that we have a more gradual decay here. When we turn up that out parameter, boom, we're bringing that down. And now I can put that on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th step in these 16 steps. And let's hear what we got. And even in the 808, I may drop that down to octave just to get that 808 pumping. And so now we're kind of doing a little bit of a trap thing. Maybe I want to add a snare sound and mix it with there. And I also will clean that decay up a little bit just to make that tighter. And I may add a little air note here. So that's note 9 on these steps here. And note 10, 11, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. The 15th step, we notice that the last one is 16. So 1 down is 15. One thing I like to do is make sure that the 808 is tight and not overlapping. And we'll review here when we're dealing with 808 and trap music, we don't want to hear two bass notes going on at the same time, right? Because what happens is that it becomes inefficient for the speaker to reproduce that sound, and it sounds muddy. So in essence, what we do to fix that is that we'll right click and we'll hit cut itself, boom. And now that's pretty much the basics of it. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna extend that drum beat. We're gonna let that melody stay. So I'll highlight all of these and I'll hit Control X to cut those. I add those to another pattern. We'll go into song mode and or the song, I'm trying to look for that screen. I got all these windows up. There it is right there. The playlist. Okay, there we go. I'm catching up now. And I'll let that melody go right there. And now bring this pattern in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend that pattern out some.
So you said you did the Control X to cut it. I mean, what'd you cut it from?
Okay, sure thing. So I was on pattern 1.
Right.
Okay. And I had drum notes here. Right. All up in there. So what I did was by hitting this green square here, you select these sounds, right?
Right.
And I hit Control X to cut. And what happens anytime you hit Control X to cut anything on a computer, you're kind of putting it on a virtual clipboard. You can't really see it, but it's on this clipboard, you know.
But you can paste it somewhere else, basically.
Absolutely. So I went to pattern 2 where I paste all that stuff I had clicked right there. You understand what I'm saying? You follow?
So what did you use to paste it?
Control V.
Control V.
So Control X to cut, Control V to paste, which is a great way to move stuff around without doing a lot of work. And you know, and like if you're familiar with Microsoft Word, a lot of the shortcut commands you do there will translate somewhere, some way, shape, or fashion into music production software just for your convenience, for your muscle memory. You know, if you're used to dealing with documents and dealing with Microsoft Word, then 9 times out of 10, if you try a shortcut like that, like Control S on most programs is save, you know.
Right. So what's the copy? C?
Yeah, absolutely. Control C is copy. And then Control V is to paste what you've copied. Same thing. If you cut and copy, same thing applies.
Okay.
You know, so here I am with everything here, and I'm just gonna click in where it's gray, and it's gonna activate more steps for me to use. And let's see what we got. And notice over here on this side, I'm not just doing plain notes on every 4 steps. Now I'm just actually honestly just randomly clicking in here and creating variations to the beat, you know, and see, this is like playing on black keys. when you're programming like this. Like, think of every one of these steps being a black key in rhythm, and all you have to do is click in the right certain pattern of them to make the beat that you want it to do, you know. And even the bass line, like I'll simplify the bass line and go boom, 2, 3, and we'll play it, and I'll develop a bass line from that 808. And in trap music, a lot of times the kick drum is represented by the 808 sound, you know. So, you know, if you come from me, most of the time when we hear music, we thinking that the kick drum has to be a kick drum sounding sound, but you don't have to follow that rule. We've grown up from music from the early modern music till, you know, till the 90s or till even the 80s, when the kick drums were phased out by the 808 machines. This is what we thought was a kick drum. So what we were doing was like, okay, well, that kick's got to be in here, and so that's kind of interfering with what the bass line is doing, because a lot of trap music is really simple, really laid back, a lot slower. So we can kill that kick out and just use this 808 sound and just let that do the kick and the bass line. That's kind of the thing with trap music, is that they combine the kick drum with the bass line. And I could go back to the FL keys, and remember, we're playing on just black keys only. And I know they're in great. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. Okay. So even with the black keys, I can. And I'm just adding notes that are on time with the grid. And let's hear how that sounds together. And you got, in a nutshell, a trap beat right there. In review, we've focused on the key of D sharp or E flat. We only use the black keys. But here's the thing too, is that pentatonic scale can virtually be played on any scale in the musical spectrum and stuff like that. We're just playing it on the black keys because that's a great easy reference form, and you don't have to depend on what you've heard before to know that you're kind of getting the right notes. Versus, say, if I did another pattern and I try to recreate a pentatonic scale on, like, say, so F. So if I do like this, that's a pentatonic scale in the key of F. But the only reason I'm able to do that is because I know how pentatonic scales sound. So I can move it around. You know, and that comes from training your ear. And really, the best way to train your ear is to play it. Like, get your piano when you get some downtime, play those black keys, and then listen for that, and then you can click them in on different scales on the piano here and stuff like that. You know.
Right.
So what we go ahead.
I was just saying, I see where I messed up to begin with, because I forgot all about the closed hi-hat.
Right.
That didn't even cross my mind. I was just thinking hi-hat.
Yeah. Well, yeah, let's break that down, because a lot of people overlook this, but, you know, let's talk about the difference between a closed hat and a hi-hat, because it adds up. So as you can see, this is an example of a closed 808 hi-hat. Notice how it does not sound like an acoustic hi-hat. You know, this one's a little bit more of an acoustic. This is an electronic. hi-hat there. You know, the subtle differences. Notice how the acoustic hi-hat sounds more natural, more like a real cymbal. You know, whereas this one sounds is a piece of electronics equipment attempting to sound like a hi-hat. And now let's go to a open. Let me see if I can find it. So notice the open acoustic hi-hat, and this is good. I'll set these up here because this is good. You know, notice the open acoustic hi-hat sounds different. That so what is the main difference you hear between the open and closed? How can you describe the difference between those two that you hear?
One of them's it's got a long tail on it. I mean, one sounds cut and the other one doesn't, basically.
Yeah, and that's it. And that's how you tell the difference between the two. One's open, ringing for a long time, and one is closed, doing that. But I just want you to know. I just want to go over that. I know it's like a really basic thing, or it can appear to be a basic thing, but a lot of people don't even know that and can't tell the difference between the two. But once you understand what they are, you can then use it to your advantage, you know, and stuff like that. And typically, if I were going to make a trap beat from scratch, I will start off with the 808 closed hi-hat. That's like the basic I will start. Now, is it a rule? No, you can use any close, you can use any sound you want, but to build a trap beat or something that sounds like a trap beat, or if you're trying to go into the direction of a trap beat, you would start off with the 808 closed hi-hat sound, you know.
But I haven't heard you say anything about rolling it, or you know how they cut it up in the quarters and thirds, and you know the closed hi-hat.
Right, that is also part of it. But I think that the best thing to do is to make sure your sound selection is good, and be able to find sounds first, and then add the rolls and all that stuff and the fancier stuff, you know, because you can roll like the wrong sounds, and it'll you know, like I could roll that sound there and mess up the beat, and it'll sound like something else, you know, which is why I didn't really go much into it. But yeah, I mean, you can totally add all the rolls you want, and you know, change your steps as we talked about before, you know. But I'm thinking we got to make sure we understand what sounds to use to build with, and then go from there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
If you're comfortable with your sound selection, you know, by all means, we'll dive into that hard, man, and make it roll all over the place and stuff like that. And that is part of the trap sound. It's not mandatory, you know. Actually, I hear kind of some, you know, it's some have it, some tracks have it, and some don't, you know. And if you decide, you know, for yourself what fits for your track, you know, 'cause ultimately you're the one creating it, you know, and that's the thing. But but as far as a kick drum, like that's one right there. And if you want to shorten that up, most, you know, you can do that and make it a shorter kick there. You know, that's the typical sound right there, the electronic clap sound, the electronic 808 snare sound. Mixing them together gives you a different sound, you know. So that is how to do it without going and buying a bunch of plugins and a bunch of sounds and samples and stuff like that, you know, because that also helps too. But it's more important to know what sounds you want versus getting a bunch of sounds, because you can go on a shopping spree and buy tens of millions of sounds and still not get the sound you want unless you know what they basically fundamentally sound like first. You know, I can remember getting my first keyboard, and I was learning how one drum set on this little portable keyboard sounded more like an acoustic, and then the other one sounded more electronic. Well, why is that? You know, and I had to really kind of meditate on that and hear it for a long time. And even when you hear it in music, you can tell the difference between a drum machine and stuff like that. And like if you listen to, and that's the thing, you know, that's why I kind of celebrate the 808, because like in 80, I don't know, it's like early 80s, but African Bambaataa blew people's minds because they used a fully electronic drum track, which was unheard of at the time, you know.
Right.
And like I said, that was our hip hop, that was our trap at the time, you know.
Yeah. I just watched a video on it just yesterday. You know, they remaking that TR is 08. I don't think it's an 8 TR8.
Yeah.
You know, it's an 808, but it's, they saying it's a TR8 now. It's, you know, it's smaller than the original 808.
Yeah.
And it's some DJ, some well-known old school DJ that was on that used that exclusively back in the day.
Yeah.
And he was comparing it, and I was amazed on see how they actually put the beat in that little beat machine. You know, it's just not like, you know, got pads on it. It's got little buttons and knobs and and you know, that type thing on it. So
yeah. Actually, I got that. I think you're talking about DJ Egyptian Lover might have been the guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I actually picked one of those. I picked one of those up like probably like 3 weeks ago, and so you probably talking about this, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I wanted to get this one the first. I had to wait, but this was the drum machine they used. Well, the drum machine they used back in the day looks like this, but it was a much bigger monster looking thing. But the same basics that you see on FL Studio kind of gets their roots from the programming here, which is the TR system, where you got the things where you tap on there and stuff like that. And you know, this is just drums, but each one of these sounds has their own patterns they can put in there. Just like on FL Studio, like if I bring up FL Studio again, you can see that right on the screen, you see these 16 steps right there where my mouse is at, right? That same thing is what's represented here, you know, and stuff like that. But this was like our urban sound from back in the day. We've taken it and changed it into something different today in trap music, but it all goes back to the sounds that came out of something like this,
right?
Or the real thing and stuff like that. So
yeah, it was just interesting on how he was playing that, and turn of the knob would change a different sound type deal, and you know, just, and he was playing it like a violin, how he had it sideways on it.
He was doing all that.
Yeah.
And I mean, you might not be able to see on the webcam, but each one of these drum sounds has, and I'll tell you what these mean right here real quick before we go. You know, this is just basically your volume level for each sound. And you got different parameters. You can make the 808. Remember how we remember dealing with the decay of a sound, right? Well, you can change the decay, and it's labeled decay on this knob. It doesn't make the kick last a long time, or make it a, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Same thing with the snare. It makes it more snappy with more of a high sound, or you can make it more darker, you know. Same thing with the congas and the toms. You can change the pitch by how you change these knobs and so forth. And then you can make it do a fill-in by hitting this button or tapping beats that way, you know. Change the tempo here, start and stop there. Same thing as starting off stop on FL Studio, you know. So all this stuff is related.
Right.
And the more you understand that, like I said, like take some time to listen to African Bambaataa and try to tune out from the lyrics and hear what the drum sound like, and then listen to today's music and trap and see how the sounds are similar. Once you start doing that and you start connecting that sound to today's sound, and then you start learning. Now you know, since you know African Bambaataa, DJ Egyptian Lover used this sound right here. You know what sounds these are. You start to develop a palette of what those sounds are in your head. You understand what I'm saying? Then you take that and say, okay, I want to make some trap music. Okay, I know trap music has TR 808 sounds in it. Okay, I know African Bambaataa Egyptian Lover used sounds like that back in the day. All right, so I'll start with that, you know, and then build, you know. So that's very important, you know, to keep in mind, man. And I feel like I kind of rambled on, but I hope it was helpful.
Yeah, everything.
Good. All right, man. Well, any questions, India or yourself, Mike, before we roll for tonight?
No, I think that's about it. I mean, I think what helped out a lot on that one beat was that just doing the work as it was playing, like you was, you know, hitting the notes and it was still playing in the background.
Yeah.
I mean, that helped out a whole lot, made it a lot easier. Just be able to place the sounds and the beat is still going in the background instead of, you know, just trying to do it without the beat going on, then bring it back in and play it, and, you know, more efficient that way. So
okay, cool. All right.
Well,
yeah, and before you go, man, try to, when you work on something, try to do something in all the black, or only the black keynotes, and see how that turns out. Save it. And we'll check it out.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, well, y'all have a good one. All right.
All right.
Peace out.
All right, later.